What's going on, guys? It's Dan from b&dgames. My YouTube channel is centered around Melee TASes, whether it's for entertainment or for education. I've been doing this for around 5 years now, and so I think it's about time I make a how to TAS tutorial video in case any of you guys want to start making Melee TASes for yourself. This video will cover literally everything you need to know about making, saving, and recording your own Melee TASes. Let's get started. TAS stands for Tool Assisted Speedrun or Tool Assisted Superplay. So what tool is assisting us? For the most part, Tool Assisted refers to using the emulator to allow us to play the game at frame-by-frame speeds, as well as allowing us to create and load save states, which are essentially just checkpoints that we can go back to if we mess up our inputs. I personally don't make TASes for the purposes of speedrunning, so I would say that I make tool-assisted superplays instead. Of course, these are all just semantics. Whatever you want to call it, a TAS is just playing the game frame by frame in order to get theoretically perfect inputs. In order to start TASing, you will need the Dolphin emulator. I use version 5.0 because other versions tend to crash and cause desyncs a lot more. Newer versions of Dolphin can work, such as those faster Melee builds that you guys may have, but I would definitely recommend you use version 5.0. I'll leave a link in the description where you can download any Dolphin build that you want. Once you get Dolphin, you will also need a Melee ISO to TAS. Any version of Melee can work. I'll either use my legally acquired 1.02 version, or the 20XX 4.07 hack pack. Lastly, if you're going to TAS with actual GameCube controllers, you will need a GameCube adapter. Before starting your TAS, you want to make sure you have the correct Dolphin settings. Most of the settings you can just copy from me, but some settings will vary from person to person depending on their computer. To start, open up Dolphin and click on Config. In the General tab, go ahead and match all my settings. Over on the Interface tab, again, you should match my settings. In the Audio tab, make sure the top option is checked. The Dolphin emulator is notoriously loud, so I have my audio set to a very low level. Moving on to the GameCube tab, you're welcome to have any memory card selected, although I never do. Whatever you choose to select here, just make sure that you never change it, or it could risk getting desyncs in your TASes. I'll explain that more when we get to the desync section of this video. In the Wii tab, again, just match my settings. The Paths tab doesn't really matter for this, and in the Advanced tab, just make sure that the box is not checked. Now that we're done with the Config section, let's go to the Graphics. In the General tab, I want to start off by saying I honestly don't know the difference between the backends, but I use OpenGL and haven't had any issues with that. If you know about using a better backend, then please let me know. Regarding the aspect ratio, this can be whatever you prefer. I use stretch to window in order to make my widescreen Melee code work properly. Make sure that VSync and full screen are both checked, and that render to main window is checked. This is very important when you start recording your TAS, because it will ensure that you're recording at the best resolution. Over on the Enhancements tab, these settings will vary from person to person. It all depends on how strong your computer is. In general, the higher the number, the better your game will look. If your computer can't handle super high enhancements, then just turn down the settings. For everything else in this tab, go ahead and match my settings. On the Hacks and Advanced tab, again, go ahead and just match my settings. Now that the graphics section is done, let's go over to the controllers. If you plan on TASing with a GameCube controller, then set the ports to GameCube adapter for Wii U. I'll leave a link in the description on how to set up and use GameCube adapters. If you aren't going to use GameCube controllers for TASing, that's fine. Dolphin actually has built-in controls that you can use. If you plan on using these built-in controls, then set the ports to standard controller. Make sure your other settings match mine, and we're done with controllers. Now, we are going to configure the properties of the Melee ISO file that you plan on TASing. On your Melee game, right-click and select Properties. In the Game Config, make sure your settings match mine. We'll skip the Patches tab, so now let's talk about AR codes and Gecko codes. Your codes are probably going to be different than mine, and that's fine. The important thing is that whatever codes are checked when you make the TAS, you must have the same codes checked when you replay the TAS. The info and file system tabs don't matter for TASing, so we'll skip those as well. Lastly, let's go to Movie and check Show Frame Counter. This will show you what frame you are on when playing your game. You don't have to check this, but I think it's pretty convenient to have because it lets me keep track of when I need to perform certain inputs. Now that your Dolphin settings are all squared away, we're almost ready to start our first TAS. One last thing we have to do though is configure the hotkeys that we will be using while we're TASing. Go to Options and select Hotkey Settings, and make sure the device is set to your keyboard. There are a few very important hotkeys that we must make sure we assign. First is the Toggle Pause hotkey. This will pause and unpause your TAS, allowing you to toggle it between full speed and frame by frame mode. I set mine to V. Next is the Stop hotkey. When you're done TASing, you'll hit this to exit the Dolphin window. I set mine to Escape. Next is the Frame Advance hotkey. As the name suggests, you'll use this to go frame by frame through the game. I set mine to B. Next is the Toggle Full Screen hotkey. With the Dolphin settings we just did a moment ago, your TAS will start in full screen mode, so you can use this hotkey to get out of full screen mode. I set mine to F11. Lastly, we have to set up the Save State hotkeys. As I mentioned before, save states are essentially checkpoints that you create in case you ever mess up an input and have to go back in time to fix it. In my opinion, the more save states you have, the smoother your TASing experience will be, so I definitely recommend using all 10 save state slots. For creating save states, I use keys F1 through F10. Then for loading them, I use keys 1 through 10. Those are all the hotkeys that I use when I TAS, but feel free to look through the rest of them and decide if you want to use them or not. Honestly, I don't know what a lot of them do, so I just ignore them. Okay, we're finally ready to start making our first Melee TAS. To begin, click on the game you want to TAS and it should get highlighted. If you're using the built-in Dolphin controls, then go to Movie and then select TAS Input. This will bring up the control panels for all 4 ports. Everything on the control panel is pretty straightforward. If you want to hit the A button, select the A button. If you want to move the control stick to the left, then move the control stick to the left. Once the TAS input is up, you can select Start Recording Input and your game should start playing. If you aren't using the built-in controls, and instead are using GameCube controllers, make sure your controllers are plugged in, and then go to Movie and select Start Recording Input. Your game will start playing at full speed. As soon as I see the frame counter start, I pause my TAS with the pause hotkey. And then at this point, you can use the Frame Advance hotkey to move through your game while performing any inputs you want. Keep in mind that whenever you hit the Frame Advance, the game will read your controller and perform your input on the next frame. This means that you have to have your controller buttons pressed down as you hit the Frame Advance. Otherwise, your input won't be picked up. Let's run through an example TAS together. Okay, so we're going to start a Melee TAS. So we're going to go down to the Melee game that I want to TAS. This is my version 1.02. Then we'll go up to Movie and Start Recording. I am using an actual GameCube controller, so I'm not going to be using the TAS input. And then you'll see that we start on the memory card screen, and I've paused the TAS. And now I'm going to frame advance by pressing the A button until we get to the character select screen. Now what I like to do is I always like to save a state at the character select screen. So I'll go ahead and save state 1. This way, if I ever want to change characters, I can just go back here and change characters. But for this first TAS, let's just do something simple. I'll start moving my controller. And we'll go to Fox, you know, the classic TAS character. I'll pick Blue Fox because that's fun. And then, I don't know, we'll just beat up on a computer player. Sure. Nah, let's not do Pichu. Let's do someone like Bowser. There we go. Poor Bowser. It's going to get 20xx'd. So I'll hit Start to go to the stage select. I also like to save a state at this point. Again, in case I want to switch stages later in the task, I can just go back to this point and switch stages. But anyway, let's go to FD. I'll select this stage. I like to unpause the task when it's loading here because it'll go a lot faster. I don't want to have to frame advance all of these frames on the ready screen. And then I'll just repause it when it gets to 0. Okay, so once it gets to 0, you can start tasking your character. Again, you want to make sure you're holding down your buttons or your control direction as you hit the frame advance. Otherwise, the inputs won't be recorded. So let me hold full right and I'll just start a dash with Fox. I'll hold left to dash the other way. And then I'll hold right to dash again. Let me just run towards Bowser and see what we can do to him. I'll make a save state every 30 frames or so, just out of habit at this point. Again, it's nice to make as many save states as possible in case you want to redo something. So I just made a state where Fox was running. Let's say I don't want to end up running all the way to Bowser. I can load save state 4, which is what I made before. And it takes me back to this point where he was running. So let's say instead of running all the way to Bowser, I'll do a running shine instead. So we'll do a running shine, and then maybe I will do double lasers that hit Bowser. Okay. And then let's do a drill shine. I don't know, just hit Bowser with a drill shine. Ooh, but I missed my L cancel. Okay, so that's a mistake in a task. You never want to miss L cancels. You never want to miss ledge dashes. You never want to mess up your wavelands, that sort of thing. So if you ever mess up tech, again, that's what these save states are for. So I'm going to go back to save state 5. No, not save state 5. I'm going to do save state 6. That's where I started to jump to do a drill. So now I'm going to try again to get my L cancel. Alright, and this time I got it. So again, that's the importance of save states, is to just fix all the tech flubs that you make in your tasks. So we get the drill, we'll do this shine to connect it, and then let's start wave shining Bowser. Just for style, let me do a turnaround shine. Oh, that doesn't hit him. Okay, so I thought the turnaround shine would hit him, so I messed up. So I'm going to go back to save state 7, which is where I am now. And instead of just doing a turnaround shine, let me do a run forward pivot shine, and that'll definitely hit him. We'll wave dash towards Bowser again. He's gonna grab ledge maybe, or maybe not. Okay, I might be able to hit him before he grabs ledge. Okay, I can. Good, good, good. So I hit him with a shine. I'll wave dash to ledge. And now, let me just read what the CPU does. He's going to double jump, and I can probably just shine spike him. So let me get one invincible refresh, and then I'll do a shine spike to end the task. Alright, there's a shine spike. And then he's probably dead. And I'll just, I don't know. I'll go over here so he can't hit me. Poor Bowser. Alright, and that's the task. So let's say that I wanted to end my task there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a state where I ended. So that's here. Okay. So I save the state when I'm done with my task, and then I'm going to unpause the task and hit escape. So we'll unpause, we'll hit escape, and then it should take you to this window. Do you want to stop the current emulation? Yes, we do. And then it's going to prompt you to save your tasks as a DTM file. So I have all of these tasks that I've made throughout the years. Let's call this one TAS How To. And then we'll hit save. So there's the save task, and now let's say I want to replay it and watch it in full time. So we're going to go back to movie, and we're going to hit play input recording. And now let me just search it up, type in TAS How To, there we go. And then we'll open it up, and we'll get to watch it. Okay, and then the task finishes. No more inputs are being performed, no more inputs are being read, and that's the end of it. And then of course you can just hit escape to get out of that task. Now let's say you want to go back and change something about the task, or maybe you want to do more with it. That's fine, that's no problem. Make sure the same game is selected, and we're going to go back to movie and start recording input as if we're starting a new task. But of course we're not going to start a new task. Instead what we're going to do is use the fact that all of our save states are already saved, and I'm going to reload the last save state where I left off. In this case it was save state 10. So if I load save state 10, I can then start moving Fox again, and all of these new inputs are going to be recorded and saved, including all of the past inputs that I already made. So we did shine wave shine, or shine wave dash, and then let's just do a multi-shine, and then we'll end it with a taunt, because Fox likes to swag. So we just we added on to this task. Again, I'm going to make a save state, and I'm going to stop this and save it. So we're going to unpause it, hit escape. Yes, I want to stop it. And now I can save a new file. I'm just going to overwrite the original one. That's not a problem. So we're going to overwrite that. Yep, it already exists. Go ahead and replace it. And now again, I can just play that task, and it should have the new additions I added on at the end. So let's see. And there we go. All the new additions are in, and you can keep repeating this until you're fully satisfied with your task. Oh, Bowser's huge. Once you're completely finished with your task, it's time to get the recording of it. The DTM file is literally just a series of inputs, so you won't get any visuals or audio with just that file. To get the actual video and audio files of your task, you need to go to Movie and check the Dump Frames and Dump Audio options. When these are checked and you play your DTM file, your task's frames and audio will be converted to an AVI and a WAV file, respectively. As soon as you stop the playback of your task, everything up to that point will be recorded and the files will have been created. To find the video file, go to your Dolphin emulator folder, select Dump, then Frames, and your video file should be there titled framedump0.avi. For your audio file, go to Audio and you'll see a file titled dspdump.wav. At this point, you can use whatever editing software you have to combine the video and audio portions together. As far as I know, there's no way to combine these files together in Dolphin. The emulator will always give you separate video and audio files. Keep in mind that you don't want the dump frames and dump audio options checked when making your task, but rather only when you're replaying your task in order to get the files. So when you end up making a new task, remember to uncheck those options before starting. Alright, it's time to talk about the task killer, the infamous desync. Recall that the DTM file is simply a series of inputs that the emulator reads and performs as the game plays through. This means that any small changes in your settings can cause the emulator to perform an input when it isn't supposed to. This will cause a snowball effect and will completely ruin your task when you replay it. On the bright side, there's a lot you can do to prevent and even fix desyncs. Okay, so let's say you're replaying your task and you see that it's desyncing. The main reason this is happening is because one or more of your Dolphin settings changed. The golden rule for preventing desyncs is whatever settings you used when making the task should be exactly the same as the settings used when replaying the task. Let's get more specific and talk about the most common setting changes that you might not notice. You may have changed your memory card to get rid of that no memory card warning at the start of your Melee game. This will cause a desync. Maybe you made a task with all 4 ports selected, but later changed ports 3 and 4 to none because you never used them. This will cause a desync. This one actually happens to me quite a bit because I use actual GameCube controllers. If you make your TAS with 3 controllers plugged in, then you must replay the TAS with 3 controllers plugged in, even if not all 3 are used. Otherwise, this will cause a desync. Maybe you created your TAS with Melee's normal aspect ratio, but then wanted to replay it in beautiful widescreen goodness. This will cause a desync. Maybe you added a cool new gecko code after making your TAS and still have it checked when replaying the TAS. This will cause a desync. Perhaps you get so lost in your sea of ISOs and you click on the wrong Melee version. This will cause a desync. If you're anything like me, you have about 20 different versions of Dolphin. If you accidentally use a different version to replay your TAS, this will cause a desync. This one happens from carelessly saving your states in a weird order that confuses the game. If the game desyncs because of bad save state organization, then I actually don't think there's anything you can do to fix it, so just be extra mindful when you're making save states. Okay, this should solve the majority of desync issues. If you guys are still getting desyncs or know of any other common causes of desyncs, please let me know so that I can get the word out. Alright guys, that covers everything you need to know about making, saving, and recording your own Melee TASes. If you're trying to TAS Melee for yourself, then I really hope you found this video helpful. If I left out anything important, or if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave a comment. You can also join our b&dgames Discord server and ask your questions there. There will be a Discord link in the description for you to join. And before I go, I'd like to give you guys a fun fact. Did you know that only 23% of you guys are subscribed? I upload Melee content every other day, so if you're into this stuff, definitely consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Alright everybody, that is all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.